Hello and welcome. A couple of days back, a new gameplay trailer dropped for Dragon Age Veilguard, and I've got a few thoughts. The first thing that struck me when I was watching the trailer was the graphics. Now, there's nothing wrong with them, they're perfectly serviceable, they just don't seem to be very Dragon Age. Dragon Age for me is a dark, visceral, gritty experience, firmly aimed at an adult audience, but this seems to be taking a back step from that. I'm just not sure that this cleaner, brighter, more colourful palette suits the world of Dragon Age. Also, conspicuous by its absence was blood and gore. The first few games were really quite a bloody affair, but that's all missing from this trailer. Another indication that they're moving away from the more mature themes of the first three games. I totally understand why they've done this. They want to appeal to the broadest audience that they possibly can, but I think Baldur's Gate 3 has shown that you can have adult content in a game and still sell bucket loads of copies. Moving on from the visuals, the next biggest change you'll notice in this gameplay trailer is the combat system. In Dragon Age Origins, the combat system was a kind of hybrid system. It was part turn-based and part real-time. The combat was fairly slow-paced in that game. It was kind of deliberate and tactical, and the sequels more or less carried on in that vein, with Inquisition being, I suppose, the closest thing you've got to sort of out-and-out action. In Veilguard, though, it seems like the transition over to an ARPG is pretty much complete. That wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but the combat that was showcased in the gameplay trailer doesn't look great, to be perfectly honest. It looks like your atypical hack and slash system, really, with lots of button mashing going on. The deeper, more tactical combat that we saw in the first three games seems to have been chucked out in favour of a more arcadey style. I'm not sure how the bread and butter fan base of Dragon Age are going to greet that change. My initial impression of the combat system was not great, to be honest. It looks pretty mediocre. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't excited by it either. You know, with some game trailers you think, wow, I can't wait to get my hands on the finished game and experiment with that combat system, try out this, try out that. Well, that's lacking from Veilguard for me. I didn't really have any strong feelings about it at all. Next, I want to talk about the writing and the voice acting, and sadly, again, the words mediocre, generic, they spring to mind. Considering that this gameplay trailer is probably 70% cutscene, you would think that the writing and the characterization would leap out and grab you, but again, that didn't really happen. The dialogue conveyed the story sections that they were trying to get across okay, it was acceptable, it wasn't anything special, it's nothing that hasn't been seen or done before. And same with dialogue options. We did get a glimpse of the dialogue wheel, but again, there was nothing that sort of grabbed your attention. It was all sort of pretty standard stuff. On a more positive note, the voice acting was okay. The player character of Rook is voiced quite convincingly, and Varric is actually pretty good. The only weak link I could see really was the actor playing Neve Gallus. It seemed at one point that she forgot that she was actually acting, and it really did sound like she was just reading her lines from a sheet of paper, but apart from that, all the voice acting seemed pretty good. Overall, I'm a little bit unsure of what to make of this game at this stage. I can't quite decide whether this was just a really bad way of showcasing the gameplay, because let's face it, we didn't actually see a terrible lot of gameplay, it was mostly cutscene, or is the game really this poor? Going on this gameplay trailer alone, there is nothing that I saw here that would make me want to lay out the cash to purchase this at this moment in time. It just seemed very bland. I think safe is a great description for this game at the moment. It just seems like no risks were taken at all, and it looks like that may backfire because the game looks very vanilla at the minute. It lacks some character and identity. It doesn't really look or play like a Dragon Age game, and if you just forget the Dragon Age title and just take it on its own merits, well, it still looks really bland, unfortunately. I would have liked to have seen some later sections in the game, because We might have seen some more of the skills used, some more of the spells, and it might have given a better impression of how combat will play out. As it stands, I didn't see anything that reached out and grabbed me. It doesn't seem like a day one purchase to me at the moment. So what do you think of Dragon Age Veilguard so far? Do you think it's just the case that this was a really bad trailer that didn't really show the game at its best? Or do you think it's another case of a AAA studio trying to please everyone and ending up pleasing no one? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.